Welcome to another episode. I'm your host, Evan Saint-Gerard. I know when you're buying a home or you're selling a home, there's a lot of questions that come up. Do I need to make some repairs before I sell the home, especially for the sellers? So with that being said, I want to have a dialogue here with one of the best, Tony Chistoforou. I always butcher your last name. Was I even close this time?
You got it pretty close, Evans. It's all good. Very close.
How do we really pronounce it?
Chistoforou.
Chistoforou. All right. I'm going to remember that. All right. So, Tony, thank you, first of all, for being a guest on the show. Let the audience know how long you've been in the business.
Yeah. First, thanks for having me on, Evans. It's great that we're able to do this, bring this video to people. So I've been in this business for going on 23 years now, doing home inspections, licensed since 2005 when I started licensing. So it's been quite a while. It sneaks up on you, man. We get there quick.
Yeah, I can attest to that. All right, so Tony, the first question I have is, what's the first thing that you look for during a home inspection that might make or break a sale of a home?
So Evans, I think that really, like with a home inspection, the important thing is it's a visual inspection. So we're looking for things visually, but we're trying to key in on major systems and components and items. So it would be walking up to a home, identifying maybe a roof that needs to be replaced, walking down into a basement, maybe seeing water issues or a boiler that's corroded and rusty. It's all the big ticket items, should say, that I think potentially could ruin or hinder or at least slow down a deal and keep it from happening, potentially.
All right. And for the question, I get this one a lot. I'm actually looking at my notes over here. If a seller is preparing for a home inspection, what are some small or smart updates that they can make to add value or to avoid red flags for buyers?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, for me, and I do some listing, pre-listing inspections, we call them, or a seller inspection before selling. A lot of times it's on an estate sale or whatever the case is. And I think sprucing up the house, right? Obviously it goes without saying, you clean the house, you pick up underwear off the floor and clean things and all that. But I think more importantly, maybe a fresh coat of paint if it really needs it, or if there's any peeling paint, if there's potentially maybe some signs of mold in the basement. It could be off in a corner in the laundry room, not a big deal, or in the kitchen, but just clean it up the right way, cover it, paint it, so we don't have any red flags when people are coming in. I think that's low cost. Cleaning your gutters, type maintenance things that people might notice right away that could lead them to believe that you're not maintaining your home. And things that fall through the cracks, you get busy. But those are the things of low cost that I would do. Maybe changing a toilet bowl that was a little worn out, or toilet seats, at least, little things. Maybe a vanity or a faucet that's maybe rusty or leaking. Something small, not really high dollar stuff, but could add value.
All right. Another thing I wanted to stress, basically, especially to the sellers, when they're getting ready for the buyers are doing their home inspection, what's something that makes your life easier? How can they prepare for the home inspector that's coming in? How should they prepare?
So I always send confirmation emails out. And if I have all the real estate agents' information, I send it to them as well, basically stating something to the effect that we need to access all of the utilities. We need to access the boiler, the electrical panel, the water main, the sewer main. So things that a seller, especially on the seller side, could do to prepare for any home inspector coming into their home, whether we're inspecting it for them or for a buyer, is to make those areas accessible. But the last thing I want to do is have to move something and maybe it breaks or something happens, or we can't move it. And now we can't inspect that item. And now maybe we have to come back a second time and inconvenience people, right? And buyers want answers. They want to know what's going on. So in my opinion, if I can get to it, see it, report on it, it makes things go a lot smoother.
So give them some examples. We're talking about like the boiler room, clear out the space in front of the boiler, the hot water heater. Yeah. We're talking about the electric panel.
Yeah, so people use a lot of times put their wet clothes in the boiler room to dry, right? So I got clotheslines everywhere and I have to dodge underwears and bras and shirts to try to get to the boiler or the water heater. And most likely it's too close to those systems anyway, right? It's potentially a fire hazard, but I need to get access to move them out of the way. I've had situations where I go in a home and have to climb literally on top of boxes and desks to get to an electrical panel and take the cover off. Not the safest way to do my job. I don't like doing that, but sometimes we have to. So, and I understand that, someone's trying to sell a home. They probably have boxes packed. They're trying to get ready, and it's hard to have everything perfect, but as good or as easy as you can make it for people coming in and they're buying the house, it makes it a lot easier for us, and we're able to do a more thorough inspection and give people the correct answers. So
Well,
those are
that's
examples.
one of the points of doing these videos, just to remind people when they are putting the house for sale and buyers are going to do their home inspection. These are some items that they want to be mindful of when there is an offer that's accepted and the buyer is doing a home inspection. Here's some things that you want to be mindful of, basically, because they need to have access to certain systems, basically like air conditioning, heating, pretty much everything. If there's a jacuzzi and stuff like that, they need access to that. If there's like a hatch inside one of the rooms to get to the roof, they need access to that. So just
Right.
be mindful when you're doing a home inspection. All right. So my next question for you is, are there any common issues that you see that could be quick fixes that are often overlooked? You kind of discussed some of that, but is there anything that you might have missed basically in the last thing that we mentioned before?
Yeah, so I think the last question too, we touched on that, but also like low cost improvements. I think quick fix things maybe falls into more maintenance or something that maybe is not working properly. So I would put that under, let's say, a lot of times what I'll find is I go into the bathroom and the sink drain is clogged, or the tub, or the shower, and it's normal, it's common. Hair goes in there, sludge goes in there, and we don't clean it out all the time as often as we should. But get that working, because that takes a question mark out of it. Any leaks that you might have under a kitchen sink, a lot of times I open it up and there's things in the way, so we move the things out and I find the leak. So maybe check all that, look under the sinks. Is everything, is the drain connected properly? Is it corroded? Because you may find something you didn't know was there. Gutters, when you're talking about outside the house, when you first walk up to a home and look at it, a lot of times gutters are clogged with leaves and debris, or there's stains. Maybe an extension off the gutter, what they call the leader, maybe it fell off, or a whole gutter downspout fell off. I've seen that also. So just things that, to me, when you initially walk through a home with a buyer, when I do, it's things that just signal that a homeowner has pride of ownership and they're maintaining their home. And then sometimes life gets in the way and we don't upkeep those things as much as we should, or we're selling the house and I don't care that much. It's the next guy's deal, their problem. But you want to facilitate your deal, so maybe you could buy your next home a little bit faster, right? So you want to get there quicker and making it look pretty. Maybe power washing the walkway could be a big one, or if there's cracks that maybe are in the walkway or the steps, maybe fill them in, seal them, paint them, things like that. I think
These
are
are
low
all
cost, easy things.
these are all great tips. Obviously, we can go on and on and on, but
Right.
we just want to give people the idea of basically, hey, these are some things that you might want to keep in mind when you are putting the house on the market. Obviously, talk to your realtor, and then do a pre-inspection. You hire Tony to do that, and basically, if there's anything that needs attention, that we can get it done. So when the buyer decides to purchase the property, for yourself that pretty much you did everything you could basically get the house to top shape for the next person. So my next question for you is pretty much, after hearing all this, how can people reach you, especially for sellers, if they want to do a pre-inspection for themselves? How can they reach you?
Sure. Yeah, they can reach me. They can call us anytime. We pick up 7 days a week, 718-278-7867. And my company is here, Touchstone Home Inspection. So you can go on the web at touchstoneinspection.com. We have a schedule on there also, or you can get some information. You can see our Google reviews. You could search us on there as well. And you could email us at tshomeinspection@gmail.com. And I'm sure, Evans, you're going to have my information somewhere in this when we post it. But that's how
Yes.
you guys could reach out. Like I said, 7 days a week. And we cover all the boroughs. We cover Nassau County, most of Suffolk County. We go into the Bronx, so we get around. They cover a pretty good area.
So Queens, Brooklyn.
Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, the Bronx, some lower Westchester, kind of depending on, where things are. But cover everything from residential to commercial properties, co-ops, condos, everything in between.
All right. I think the next question I'm going to ask is pretty much for a seller, because this is a seller-focused video. How long does it take to get a report? After you've done the report, you did the inspection for them, how long does it typically take you? Is there a different time frame between the seller and the buyer report?
They're pretty much the same. I mean, typically on a seller report, it might not be as rushed as a buyer report. Um, but typically, my reports inspection will take on average about 2 hours. Most of our reports turn over within 24 hours. We'll have a report emailed out to you and to your realtor or your attorney, depending on how who's referring it and who's involved. But typically, you have a realtor like Evans helping you out with it and picking
Okay.
through. As a seller, you're going to want to go through that report and pick out areas of concern and places where, like we talked about earlier, Evans, like low cost areas or maybe areas that could add value, maybe sell the home quicker at a higher price and get you into your next home or your retirement home in Florida or wherever you're going. But we'll get you to that point. I think the report can help a lot of times with that.
All right. So besides the typical report, the typical home inspection, do you do roofs? Do you do termite? I mean, these are questions buyers and sellers have. So you
Yeah.
want to give a list of the stuff that you do?
Yeah, so we do termite inspections there, and the termite inspection is included in typically every home inspection that we do. As far as any environmental, we don't do too much with that, but we do have a good referral network. So if you did have a mold issue and you needed to speak to somebody on that, or we check for the moisture, we look for signs of mold visually. But if we felt it was something that needed testing, we could refer that out and offer it. We do include a thermal imaging or infrared scan during the home inspection, which is pretty valuable because it helps us a lot of times identify leaks that you can't see with the naked eye. So we use some tools, moisture meters, and a lot of different kind of test equipment to go along with the visual part of the home inspection, to aid the inspection along. As far as additional services, a lot of that we have good relationships with people that specialize in those fields, and we can refer them out.
All right. So I guess the next thing for people, if they are interested, they want to do whether it's a seller or a buyer, give Tony a call. He's one of the top people. He's been in the industry, like he said, many years, and he's not just doing that. He's also teaching realtors basically how to have conversations with you, the audience, when it comes to whether you're buying or selling. Because sometimes you're looking at stuff differently because it's not something that you see on a regular basis. Tony sees everything all the time, and then basically as he's talking to us, we like, okay, well, this isn't such a big deal. To you, it might be a big deal, but this is how you can remedy it. With that being said, you can reach me, my contact information. I'm pretty much all over the social media. You can find me. My cell phone is the best way to get me. It's always with me. 917-975-5985. Again, I'll say that one more time because I do talk too fast, and I'm from Brooklyn. I can't help it. 917-975-5985. I'm on social media, but you can use my full name, Evans St. Gerard, or just look for Evans Sells Homes. Pretty much everywhere. And then my website is nyhomesales.com. Feel free to give me a call. Let's have a consultation. We can do it on the phone. We can do it via Zoom, meet in the office, whatever you're comfortable with, whether you're buying or selling, especially if you're doing both. If you're selling and buying at the same time, we can definitely have a plan for you. So just give us a call. Let's work that out and put everything together and give you the best options that are available to you and your family. Tony, you got the last words. What give us words of encouragement for the sellers out there?
Don't worry, don't panic. The thing that I notice most with sellers, especially if you've been in your home for a really long time, whether I'm coming in to do an inspection for you personally to sell it, or if I'm with a buyer, it's normal to feel a little bit nervous and uncomfortable because someone is digging through your home and you feel like they're going through your personal belongings and they're messing with things that are yours. So don't worry about it. It's painless. It's pretty quick. It'll be over before you know it. Home inspector is not out to get you for the most part, right? Most guys that know what they're doing are not out to get you. We're just going in and whatever the house tells us is basically what's going to be in the report, whether it's a seller's report or a buyer's report. So don't worry about it. Everything will go smooth. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid as a seller to advise the home inspector, is there something that we shouldn't move or shouldn't touch? Something might be unplugged for a reason, or there might be water off for something for a reason. We don't turn on valves, but always let the home inspector know that, hey, this is off for this reason. Don't flush that toilet because even if you jiggle the handle, it keeps running. Whatever the case is, just let us know. Give us a heads up. We're open to hear your opinion or what you think might have caused something or why there's a stain on the ceiling. But at the end, we're going to use our own judgment, whatever we see. But don't worry about it. Don't get nervous. We'll hold your hand, whatever side of the deal we're on, and kind of fill you in and let you know exactly what's going on and what the deal is with the home.